Hi everyone. I'm gonna share with you today is a way that you can celebrate Bill of Rights Day that's next month, or just use it whenever you are teaching the Bill of Rights in your government class. So, what I like to do, and the activity I like to do with the Bill of Rights, is for the students to create review dominoes after we've kind of studied them, and then exchange them the next day and see if people can put their dominoes together. And then I give them a quiz over the Bill of Rights. So, what I'm showing you here on the screen to walk through the things that you'll have access to, the materials I've created that you'll be able to find. And the first is, of course, this Google slide to help you teach and go over and review the Bill of Rights with your students. So I like this video from the Bill of Rights Institute that talks about the origins and the purposes. Why do we have a Bill of Rights? Why did they come into existence? And then, to talk about those as a class and how many there are. And then I like this TED Ed video because it's just a real brief, quick review of the Bill of Rights, which most of the kids usually know, at least the main ones. That the first, they always know the first. Usually some of the fifth, the eighth, they usually know. So what you see is each slide describes the amendments that you can have them take notes over what is protected by each of the 10 amendments. And so that's kind of what you see there. And then the last part is a review of how you put the dominoes together. And so one of the worksheets you'll have, I'll show you what it looks like. One worksheet is the dominoes themselves, and this is what a domino looks like. And so it's got a gray end and a white end. And I did that because it helps the kids more than you would think to have the two colors. So I tell them to start by cutting their dominoes out, and you'll see the way the page is set up. There's 6 at the top and 6 at the bottom. And so I tell them, make sure you're cutting out a full domino. Don't cut on this line right here to divide them in half. You should have a gray side and a white side for your dominoes. And so they'll have 12 total dominoes when they get them cut out. Then the next step, I really think it makes sense to lay your dominoes out. And what I mean by that, if you scroll, I gave you an example here of one that a student, an example of one a student's actually done in my class. But you can see I have them lay them out so that the gray end touches the white end of another domino. And I think it's easier just to make not some crazy shape, but just to do them in a rectangle kind of shape. And so I have them go ahead and think about what amendments they want to use in their dominoes. And so I usually have them choose 6 or 7 from the first 10 amendments. And then on the back of the worksheet, this is what the worksheet looks like that I give them. So that here's the instructions that I have in the PowerPoint to show them. Here's an example of what they look like. And then on the back, I go ahead and give them some other key amendments in U.S. history, from voting rights amendments, the Civil War amendments, the Electoral College Amendment. And so then I have them choose the rest of their amendments from some of these. So you can decide how you want to break it down. I usually have them choose 6 from the Bill of Rights and then 5 from the other amendments, but you can do it how you want to, and you can edit the worksheet and how you have them choose them. In the past, I have done 6 and 6 before, where they pick 6 of one and 6 of the other. Sometimes I like to do 7 of the Bill of Rights and 5 from the rest of the amendments, because then that forces them to choose more of the Bill of Rights, which is the main ones you want them to know. But these are covered later in the standards, and you will be talking about them. And to me, they're also important amendments. So again, I give them this worksheet so that they have the instructions and see how they're done as well. But I think, my first step is to tell them, on the gray side of your domino, pick what amendment numbers you want to create dominoes for, and go ahead and write those, as you can see here, in the gray section. And so the reason this is important is because the way the dominoes work is you have a number on one end, but the answer to that number is on a separate domino. It's not here, because then you wouldn't be able to connect the dominoes together. You would just have flashcards. So that is why I have them lay them out. So here they know, okay, I picked the 26th Amendment. Well, this domino, end of the domino, this white part of this domino has to be where I describe or draw a picture to illustrate the 26th Amendment. And I usually make them make half of them be a picture description. It can be a cartoon that they want to draw, like a political cartoon. It can be just a literal picture interpretation of the amendment, however they want to do it. And then for the rest of them, they can write a description. And so you can see here for the First Amendment, here's somebody with a megaphone for freedom of speech, because that is the match to the First Amendment. Here they're hanging someone and somebody thinks that should be cruel and unusual. And so that's the match to the Eighth Amendment. So it's really important that you stress to your kids, you need to lay them out so that you know what to write on the white end of the domino, because what you write there should be the answer to the gray domino number that it is touching. If that makes sense. This next slide, and you can delete these slides or you can let your kids see these, if you choose to leave them in. But this was just more close up so you could see here's 19th Amendment. This is one domino. Here's a second domino. And the white one here is describing the 19th Amendment there. And just like the 25th Amendment is being described here, you can see it's a casket with the president and the vice president saying, "Oh, I'll think that over," because of, the presidential succession part that is in part of the 25th Amendment. So that is how dominoes work. And my kids usually really enjoy this. And like I said, we teach the content, and then they create their dominoes with their amendments. And then the next day I give them a quiz just over the Bill of Rights. And we play this, and they exchange their dominoes with multiple people in the room for a few minutes. And that's how we kind of review before we take the quiz. And then I give them a quiz over just the Bill of Rights. And so I have put the quiz that I use. That's also a resource that I have shared. So I hope you'll use this with your kids. My students, I know, enjoy it, and I think yours will too. So it's a fun, neat way, I think, to teach and review the Bill of Rights. So let me know.